Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. We've heard about the scandals down at the Clark County Commission, but what about Storey County? We'll have details, plus we'll judge the judge, and he's got the rundown.
Sam, today we talked to Judge Jim Hardesty. We know he's going to run for the Supreme Court, but where does he stand on the issues? And then we talked to Storey County Commissioner Greg Hess. Is Storey County in some financial trouble? We'll find out. Sam?
And coming up on the Power Pundit panel today, Bob Crowell, John Gwaltney, and the ever-effervescent Dick Gammick. It's all coming up next on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Catch a straight, dine at 8. Lucky you. Lucky you. Dance till 1. Have some fun. Lucky you. Lucky you. Taste the shrimp. Have a sip. Try the pool. Play it cool. At the Sienna Hotel Spa Casino. Lucky you.
In business, the key to success is not the quantity of your clients, it's the quality of your clients. Almost all companies will tell you they want more sales, but what they really need are quality customers who pay their bills on time. With Employer Link's client vendor screening program, we provide comprehensive reports regarding the financial performance of your corporate prospects, customers, and vendors. Build your business with great clients and vendors. Call Employer Links today at 883-3733.
If you own a business and want to maximize your company's potential, join the Retail Association of Nevada. Our membership benefits include the Nevada Retail Network Self-Insured Group, providing workers' compensation coverage that can lower your rates. That savings can go directly to your bottom line. We are an effective pro-business organization that lobbies on behalf of our business members. The Retail Association of Nevada, protecting Nevada businesses for 35 years. Call 882-1700 to see what we can do for your organization.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad, political analyst Ande Engleman on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the News 4 Broadcast Center, here's Sam Shad.
He's been on the program so frequently recently, he now has his own parking place here. We welcome back to the program District Judge James Hardesty. Welcome.
Thank you so much for being here today. You have announced that you are going to run for the Supreme Court. So now we get to the issues involved. One of the things that I know has really irritated Sam and me over quite a while is the fact that according to the Constitution, people are not supposed to receive pay raises during the term of their office. They're supposed to run for re-election first. Yet the Supreme Court, our present Supreme Court, has found a way around this by serving on some pseudo boards, etc., and then paying themselves extra money so that they're all paid the same. If you're elected to the Supreme Court, will you want to continue such practices?
Well, the decision is one for the legislature, and the legislature made that decision. But, Andy, I never ran for this office for the money. I had an excellent law practice when I first ran for the district court. I wanted to be a district court judge for the job and because I wanted to serve. I want to be a Supreme Court justice because of the job and because I want to serve. What they pay me, they pay me. When I get there, I'll get the salary they pay me, and I'm not going to worry about it in the interim.
Well, the court did, in fact, come over and ask the legislature to do this. The legislature didn't dream this up on their own.
Well, I think that we should get paid what we're provided for, and that's what I'll do.
But would you, sir, during your term, and if there was a pay raise given to the Supreme Court judges, would you take those commission fees, or would you donate them to charity, or would you just not take them?
Wouldn't take them.
Okay, that certainly is a clear enough answer. Let's talk about integrity, honesty, and how far back one has to think in terms of that. We have a candidate for another race here in the Supreme Court who's been telling a story for a long time that really turned out not to be true. Is that something that happened 40 years ago that we should not worry about when we're looking at a Supreme Court justice, or is that something that we should bear in mind?
Well, I don't want to comment on somebody else's race.
I'm just saying in general.
Obviously, well, to some extent your question would cause a person to imply that I have a position in that race. As you know, the judicial canons are very clear that a judicial candidate cannot endorse someone directly or indirectly. I will say this, when the voters of this state evaluate a candidate, they should look at their experience, they should look at their work ethic, they should look at their background, and determine whether those things justify sitting on the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of our state is the highest court in the state. It is a position that I believe requires considerable dignity to serve, considerable experience to serve, and I believe the voters and citizens of this state should choose people who meet that standard.
Then you do support the justices being elected and not appointed?
I do favor the Missouri plan. I believe the voters should be a part of the process in selecting or removing judges. But I do think there's a distinction between how we select justices of the Supreme Court and judges for that matter. All too often, judges are selected based upon who's got the best 30-second soundbite or who raised the most dollars. In a judicial selection commission process, that commission has the opportunity to ask judges about their mental health, any addiction problems they have, those types of things. Often questions that don't come about during an election process. Under the Missouri plan, if you're appointed, then you stand for retention, and the voters can evaluate you and kick you out of office if you're not performing the way you should be.
But my problem with that, excuse me, Jim, is that with the judicial canons that limit how much you can say during a campaign, you can't really question anybody on their record.
It becomes very difficult, no question about that. But you know, when you're selecting judges, you want a judge who has the legal experience to bring to the table, a person who has got the qualifications to serve, and someone who is going to be fair and impartial when they get there.
But if you are committing them,
pardon me?
If you can't question them,
well, what would you question them about? Are you going to say, well, Judge, when you get on the Supreme Court, you will rule always on these sets of circumstances?
No, certainly not.
That prejudices the process right off the bat. And more importantly, and this is a critical issue that I think makes it awkward in judicial campaigns, if a judge makes a commitment in advance, they are required under the judicial canons to disqualify themselves when the very issue comes before them. So what's the point? If you've made these commitments, you now serve, and then you must disqualify yourself, what have you done? Basically, you've misrepresented to the voters what you can accomplish when you get on the court.
Let me ask you this. A lot of people are mad at the Supreme Court over several decisions that have been made over the last year or so. The court has been accused of being an activist court. What is your thought on that? I mean, if you are seated on the Supreme Court, does public opinion matter? The will of the people matter?
Well, I think public opinion is always something that influences all of us. But a judge's responsibility is to be governed by the rule of law. That is our responsibility, and to adjudicate cases fairly and impartially in accordance with the rule of law. What always comes into question is what is that rule of law and how is it interpreted? And that's where a person's background is so critical to evaluate. What has their history been? Do they follow the law, or are they out making law? Are they guided by legal principles, or are they out trying to establish those? And I think that's why people's records are so important in these races. And I have a record. You know, I've been a lawyer for 25 years. I've been a judge now for 5+ years.
Do you have a website?
I do not.
Are you going to have one?
We'll get one.
Okay, because that's where people are going to find out all this information. Judge Hardesty, thank you so much
Thank you for
being
having
here.
me. I
And you're
appreciate
welcome
it.
back again. We'll be right back
Thank
on
you.
Nevada Newsmakers. Greg Hess will be here from the Storey County Commission.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Would you like to savor a Trento pork chop? Or maybe pasta rags with grilled chicken? Hugo's Tuscan Grill at D'Andrea is a celebration of color, flavor, and freshness. Each dish is created from natural, wholesome foods that is delicious and nutritious. Hugo's is a comfortable restaurant with breathtaking city views. If you enjoy great food and good company, visit us here at Hugo's. It's the best that dining can be. 2900 South D'Andrea Parkway in Sparks.
Allegra is Northern Nevada's #1 offset printing and digital copying facility.
From disc to destination, Allegra utilizes tomorrow's technology today. We specialize in booklets, catalogs, manuals, newsletters, stationery, and envelopes.
Xerox, Docutech, 4-color printing with Heidelberg Speedmaster, desktop publishing and design, graphic services, pickup and delivery.
If you need printing, Allegra can do it. From disc to destination.
To experience the royal cuisine of India, you need some serious magic or simply transport yourself to India Garden, right here in Reno, where you'll discover Indian specialties refined over centuries. Sikh kebab, tandoori dishes cooked in our own tandoor oven, biryani specialties, curries, fresh-baked Indian bread, over a dozen vegetarian dishes, even dishes rare to India like dosa, South Indian-style crepes. India Garden off South Virginia near Sports West. We are India.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And on this program, we believe in disclosure, disclosure, disclosure. And I want to disclose at this point that for the last several years, I've represented the Virginia City Ad Co-op that spends money that comes to it via various sources, including the Storey County Commission. Nonetheless, we'll still ask whatever questions we want of County Commissioner Greg Hess. Welcome to the program. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having
All right,
me.
let's start out, because this is so confusing. How many millions of dollars of Storey County's tax money has ended up in Washoe County, and how are you going to get it back?
Well, we think it's closer to about $10 million.
$10 million.
You know, it started out about 7, but the more we've looked into it over the past 3 or 4 years, it gets up in about the 10 million.
How did that happen,
range.
Greg?
Well, it's actually a very complicated issue. We have an industrial park down there, Tahoe Reno Industrial, and we have huge buildings down there. They're all warehouse buildings, 400,000 and 500,000 square feet. And we have the McCarran address, which is obviously in Storey County, but it has a Sparks zip code. So this is what happens when all these sales tax and products came out to McCarran. Storey County should have been paid for those sales taxes. But what happened with the Sparks address, the Taxation Commission didn't really know the difference, and so it went into Washoe County rather than Storey.
Okay, somebody's head been lopped off at this point?
Pardon me?
Has somebody's head been lopped off at this point? For missing, I mean, how do you miss
trying to
$10
do that.
million bucks?
Well, we built so quick down there. Dermody Properties down there did a tremendous job in their business park. We have Sanmar, Calcan, Royal Sierra Plastics, and Dell Computers in there. And in about 2.5 year span, there was several $100 million spent down there. And we should have been getting some of those taxes coming in, and by the time we realized it, it was too late. They were already built out, and the sales tax already went to Washoe. We have a tremendous amount of infrastructure out there that we put in, several million dollars.
What does the tax commission say about this?
Well, everybody right now is kind of pointing the finger, basically at somebody else. We finally got the tax commission to help us out and open their books up to us so that we can prove that this amount of money didn't come in the Storey and it should have. So we are getting help from the tax commission right now Kenny Gwynn has helped us out tremendously, and some other legislators, Mark Ande and actually Joe Deeney, the former assemblyman, has helped us out.
Is Storey County broke at this point? Are you in the red?
Not yet.
How close are you?
We're close. We're very close.
I read an article said you were $133,000 short.
Well, that could have been that was a projection if we went to cut back, and we have a hiring freeze right now, an overtime freeze. And a lot of it has to do, we didn't count on these taxes because it wasn't projected in our budget coming up that's prepared by the state. But what happened is the tax commission over-projected the ad valorem taxes that come into Storey County. And what happens is we set our budget once we get those budgetary items from the state given to us, and we set our budget according to them. Well, if their money's not coming in, then obviously our budgets are going to be a little low.
But you spent $1 million on 4 fire engines.
Well, that was a loan. That had been paid for through a separate tax. And those fire trucks that were paid for through a fire tax initiative in Storey County.
All right, let's move on to issue, and this is all intertwined here. So Lance Engleman opens up a brothel in Storey County. and that means that there's $100,000 a year coming to you in tax money from that brothel. Somehow along the way, Dermody Properties is not happy about a brothel opening up just outside the business park. Neither is Cowcan, and they're doing everything they can to shut them down. They found an error in county commission rules that the sheriff should have done I guess it's called a certified audit
audited financial statement
of the owner of the brothel, Lance Engleman. Engleman says apparently that this is impossible to do. The commission has now changed its rules, but the brothel is shut down. What's going to happen there?
Well, actually, the brothel's not shut down yet. I believe it got remanded back to Judge Maddox, the district court judge. And there was an error that was done, and actually it wasn't so much the sheriff, the commission probably made the error in that part. Is when we redid the ordinance, which is one of the first things I did when I became a commissioner, it was a 4-page ordinance. Everybody could get a license that wanted one. We made it now, it's about a 54-page ordinance, and it's so strict, there's very few people that can comply with even getting a license. Lance Engleman is the only one that has applied to get one. And we were overzealous in trying to make it so strict that we put in an audited financial statement prepared by a CPA, which can't be done on an individual. We didn't know that when we did that, and through the course of licensing Lance, we found that out. And midstream kind of changed the rules, if you will. And
okay, well, bottom line, is he going to be able to be relicensed?
I think we're going to have to go through a procedure of preparing a certified financial statement. I don't know. That's kind of in the lawyer's hands right now. I don't think he's going to go out of business, but...
All right, well, Mr. Dermody is really strongly against this brothel. He's trying all kinds of ways. If you were a betting man, would you say a year from now that brothel is going to be in existence?
Yeah, I believe it will be, yeah. We did everything that we possibly could to make sure Lance was qualified, and we have the strictest ordinance, bar none, of anybody in Nevada.
We're out of time on this segment.
Okay.
I want you to come back and let's talk about this whole issue.
Absolutely.
In a broader context, okay?
Thanks
Greg
for having
Hess, thank
me.
you very much for being here. We'll be right back on Nevada Newsmakers after this timeout.
Before you head to Carson, take care of yourself with a visit to Tamarack Junction. Catch a hot cup of coffee and the morning news on one of our 32 TVs and enjoy the best food in South Reno. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
The Abowed family has an appetite for dialogue. Agree or disagree, have the conversation. All opinions are welcome. Since 1977, Adele's.
Your home is an expression of all things comforting and familiar. For custom storage, you can count on California Closets to provide quality, value, and design integrity. The process is easy, combining your personal style with our organizing expertise. We care about what matters most to you, making your home functional and beautiful. California Closets, simplifying home and life since 1978. Call today for your complimentary design consultation.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Make your daily commute easy with breakfast or lunch at the Tamarack Junction. Enjoy daily specials, super fast service, and South Reno's freshest morning meals. Tamarack Junction, your junction for fun. South Virginia and Amati Ranch Parkway.
And now, back to Nevada Newsmakers with Sam Shad and Ande Engleman.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, lots to talk about today with Bob Crowell, John Gwaltney, and Dick Gammick. Okay, Dick, let's start with you. How do you not get $10 million in tax money, and what do you think about this brothel if it's going to be around a year from now?
Okay, first issue, I don't have any idea how the tax equation works in this state. I keep watching it in total amazement.
I mean, when you think that somebody would notice that in a county that's like trying to survive?
It just really seems that somewhere we'd get this right. I mean, this isn't something, the tax laws didn't come into effect yesterday, and we're trying to work them out. It amazed me when I heard him say all that they had lost all that tax revenue. Of course, Washoe County is going to have a situation now and an issue.
But surely they were thinking, hey, we're getting this money we shouldn't be getting. Somebody's going to find it eventually.
I don't know. That's all those guys. Now, is the house going to be around a year from now? Yeah, I think it will be. I grew up in Elko where we had 6 legal brothels, whorehouses, we call them. We had 6 of them, legal ones. They were controlled. There were rules. There were regulations. The ladies were allowed out during the day to go do their shopping and stuff. They weren't allowed out after dark. They had to have their medical exams. It was all controlled, and it was no big deal. One of the guys a year ahead of me in high school, his mom was one of the madams. The only thing, he always had the neatest, coolest cars. That was the only thing, a little envy.
All right, I want to get these other guys in, and I got a question back for you at the end of that. Bob, jump in.
No, I was going to say, well, I thought that the commissioner had a good point on this, on the issue of where the taxes went, because in Carson City, there's an issue between Carson City and Douglas, and all those commercial enterprises across the line in Douglas all have a Carson City zip code, Carson City address.
But we're not getting the sales tax.
So maybe there's an issue where maybe Carson City ought to be getting the sales tax. At least give us a little leverage.
Well, what can I say besides the fact that we're dealing with government? What else can you say? I mean, governments aren't perfect. $10 million seems like a lot of money. But
it is a lot of money. That's got to be a huge chunk of Storey County's
Well,
budget.
it does Storey County, but not necessarily.
You got to think about something else here too. That the equation doesn't take into account. Where's the impact? The impact of all those businesses is not Storey County. They don't go to Virginia City. They come into Reno and Sparks. So that's where you get the impact.
Yeah,
of the services,
but
the roads,
that's
the
neither
rails.
here nor there. I mean, you've got a situation where Dayton drives to Virginia City to get to Reno, and Virginia City doesn't have the funds to repair the roads, so they want to charge a toll. I mean, there needs to be some bridging there, but I don't think it's just, by accidentally taking $10 million that they should be allowed to keep it.
And the reality is that when you buy something on the internet, the sales tax should go to the county to where you live, not where the store may be located. And in fact, I think they're doing that wrong in the taxation
Andy, there are
department.
some companies, I have to point this out to you, that now are registered in all 50 states, internet companies, so that when you do buy a product off of the internet, the sales taxes do go to
I haven't
that.
bought anything on the internet where the sales tax, but the problem is it going to Las Vegas where the store is located, or is it coming to Carson City, which is where I live? And evidently there's a problem with that.
All right, I want to go back to something that Dick Gammick said, because you raise up an interesting question here, which I'm going to raise at least. You lived in Elko, legal brothels, no problems. We have a major problem in Washoe County, in Reno, and in Clark County in Las Vegas with unregistered prostitution. Does it not make sense from a law enforcement standpoint that we actually legalize prostitution in these 2 major cities? If you look, I don't know about the Reno phone book, but I looked in the Las Vegas phone book. There are like 300 pages of escort services. I got a funny feeling they're not really escort services.
I've always been in favor of doing that, but when you say legalize prostitution, that doesn't mean just throw the doors open. Very strongly controlled, very strict regulations. It's a business. It's going to be a business. No matter what we do, every day you look in the paper, Reno Police Department spends a lot of time on East 4th Street on prostitution issue. That'll still happen, but then it'll be just totally illegal there. but you'll have the legal brothels, places for people to go that want to do that and want to spend the money, and it's tightly
But the
controlled.
reputation of the county suffers. Bob, when we've got these brothels out in Dayton, which are technically Lyon County, but they always advertise themselves as being Carson City, which
Right.
has its own prostitution problem at the legislature.
No, I think, history has shown over time that there's a place for legalized brothels. I mean, it's the oldest business in the world. On the other hand, you cannot let society go willy-nilly on some of these things, because it creates an atmosphere in your own county that is not healthy.
And the other
Hang on, illegal prostitution isn't healthy.
Let John say something.
Okay, you got 15 seconds, John. Sorry.
The fact of the matter is, we will lose some convention trade, both in Las Vegas and here, if we legalize prostitution. There are simply corporations and companies and so on who will look at us and say, "That
John,
fine print."
excuse me, John.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I'm
I
sorry.
think so.
There are all these lap dancing clubs in Southern Nevada that are raking in multi-millions of dollars, to the point where the casinos are now putting in sexier and sexier shows and bars and restaurants to capture that market back in. Do you think legalized prostitution wouldn't be a boost to tourism?
There is a fine line between the two.
We're out of time. So we'll keep going on this later. It's America's largest historical district, and it's fun for the entire family. Virginia City is where the West comes alive every day, from train rides to gunslingers. Your gang can explore mines and interesting museums, visit historic saloons, and do some great shopping. Virginia City is the ultimate in family entertainment, and it's very affordable. Come up and stay overnight in our hotels, motels, and RV park. Virginia City, the Wild West at its best.
I tell you, John, this industry has really changed.
Tell me about it.
You seemed to do pretty well last year. What's your secret?
No secrets. Although I'll tell you something. The smartest thing I did was sign up with Pro Group Management.
Really? Yeah, they do workers' comp, right?
Yeah, their services are great. And get this, they saved me 30%. I've heard they saved others 50%.
That works for me.
Pro Group Management. Finally, workers' comp that works for you.
Atlantis is cooking up a party. It's every diner's paradise. Toucan Charlie's Buffet and Grill, voted Reno's best buffet by locals year after year. Experience the Mongolian barbecue, new Asian station, and sumptuous exhibition stations filled with fresh entrees, salads, and desserts. Try the Friday night seafood buffet and Sunday champagne brunch.
Atlantis.
When you sign up for Wells Fargo free checking, you get more than free checking. You get the freedom to bank when and where you want. Wells Fargo, the next stage.
Nevada Newsmakers, brought to you in part by Charter Communication.
And what's coming up tomorrow?
The Democrats go to the polls in many states tomorrow. We talked to Greg Ferraro and Danny Thompson from the AFL-CIO.
See you then.
Thank you for watching.